Here comes Campbellsville. King back to Evans! What a two-handed club!
Makes 2 misses, and she finishes!
4 from third, he's going to, sliding safe!
Welcome to Tiger Nation Weekly. I'm your host, Zach Clements. We go to the wrestling mat this week as we feature women's wrestling. We are joined by head coach Lee Miracle. Coach, how are we doing today?
We're doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And how was your Christmas break? Did you get much of one?
It was great. I actually got a lot of time with family, different parts of family, here, Texas, Indiana, kind of all of them from all over the place.
Now, did you get to do any recruiting while you were down there, or was that strictly family?
There's always recruiting involved, always.
So let's look at wrestling now. Obviously, you've dealt with a lot of complications. How has training gone since you've been back?
It has been difficult at times. I'd say the training that we have had has been good, but the training has been sporadic because we got shut down a couple of times. So what we decided to do was basically just the days that we could go, we would go 2-a-days. And so we've implemented that philosophy, and so we've got shut down a couple times. When we got shut down and we were on break, and the girls were supposed to do what they could with what they could. And then when they came back, we went on 2-a-days. And right now, we've just changed our schedule a little bit the last couple of days because we have the duel coming up. We decided instead of a 2-a-day now, we're just doing an early morning 3-hour practice broke up into kind of segments.
How different has this season been compared to any other season?
Drastically different, yes.
And is this with protocols? Is this with practices and how you split things up? How so?
I would say definitely with practices because the way that our system is taught is step by step built on the fundamentals, the very basics of wrestling. And we do that step by step each year, and for every athlete, no matter if they're a world champion, they would have to go through that. So that kind of interrupted that slower process that we're used to doing and going through, and by doing it slower, it's kind of more thorough. They can take it more. There's a lot being thrown at them, but now they've kind of had to take things in bigger clumps of information, and I think they've adjusted well, and we've made some adjustments in our training to reflect some problem areas that I see, and we'll just see how that works out.
So what are some of the new protocols that you have to follow this season?
Well, with the COVID stuff, obviously, every time they leave, like for vacation or for a break or anything, they have to get tested prior to coming back. Same with me, and it makes it difficult to choose family or staying here, or sometimes it's like that. And then we have the difficulties of the positive test, and like I said, getting shut down when we have so many positive tests, like we did the first time.
So with the training you've been able to have, obviously after Christmas now, who have you been the most surprised with?
Honestly, it's been at such a slow pace. I tried to slow everything down and review the fundamentals and the basics. And, so as far as being surprised right now, I haven't been really surprised by anyone. My freshmen are the ones that kind of surprised me. And right now, Layla Castro looks really, really tough. Some of the other girls are really starting to grow up, and I see them learning fast. And I think that they're going to be contenders, and people are going to know who they are here soon. They probably would know who they are if we were able to wrestle, but since we haven't wrestled yet this year, those girls have gone completely unrecognized. With
what you know on your team so far, how good can they be, and what are you expecting for them tomorrow night?
I think that we can be national champions. We've had some setbacks lately, but we've also had some things go really good for us, and it's almost time to make those announcements. And when we make those, you'll understand that that's a nice little boost to the team. But we're not quite there yet. Once we're ready for that, we'll let you guys know and let you guys do the announcement for us. But it's good news for our team and for the second semester.
So obviously, I hate to even bring this up, but what was the feeling after the NAIs last year?
I felt so sorry for the seniors. It was horrible. And our team was ready to win the national championship, and that's kind of the hard part about it. I think last year was my best year of coaching ever. ever in my life. They were good coming out of the gates, but we were able to do something special with that team and bring them along. And Coach Biega and I, had a blast doing it, but we just didn't get to finish it. We didn't get to showcase it.
And with that, as a head coach, how did you deal with that situation?
It was tough. I think every year is tough unless you win the national championship. That's how I feel about it. I feel like it takes me a few months to kind of get over the loss. If we were second in the country, then I'm going to think that we lost. That might be a weird way to look at things, but that's the way I look at it. And that year, or last year, was just worse than that. Yeah, it was worse than losing.
So obviously you get back into action tomorrow. You start off on New Year. Is your team ready?
I think so. I think we do a good job of prepping our team, but honestly, I don't know what my team is yet. We haven't had our eligibility meeting yet. It's coming up. There's a lot of little surprises that happen, as you know, and I don't know yet. I don't know yet what my roster lineup is going to be, so we'll see. It could be one of those seasons where we start off where it's like, wow, they're pretty good, but they're not as good as we thought they could be, and we might just have to get a lot better real quick. We'll see.
So tomorrow is special. It's senior night, obviously. That's always a special day.
It is. A little weird this year, the way that we have to do things without allowing the parents on the mat, but we're looking at doing something special to like spotlight them or something in the stands and have them stand and then have their daughter come out to the middle of the mat and something like that.
So let's talk about each one of the seniors. First, Caitlyn Pizzo. We're going to meet with her. Next segment, how special and how have you seen her improve over her time here?
Well, she's definitely grown a lot as a person, okay? She went through a very tough injury to go through, double labrum tear on one on each hip, and that was that was inspirational to see anyone go through all of that and then come back and wrestle. And she's doing great. She looks great. She looked good last year when she was wrestling. I really expect a lot of good things out of her. I wish that we had been competing more so that this year could be even better for her, but we're all dealing with the same things.
Lexi Foca is next. She gets it done in a lot of ways. Talk a little bit about her.
She does. She's kind of a silent leader on the team in some ways. She doesn't say a whole lot, but she does everything through her actions. And she's gutted out some personal injuries, it's just the way it is. And I've seen some toughness out of her that has earned a lot of respect.
Michaela Campbell, she's a true hammer, obviously. What have you seen from her?
Another one that has been through, injuries and battled the entire time. Great kid. I mean, obviously now a young woman coming into her own, and these girls are all independent. They think for themselves. They're just truly amazing women.
And lastly, we have Courtney West. What has she meant to the program?
Courtney's one of those girls that kind of just does everything, that is needed. And when she can't wrestle, then she's a manager type. And when she can't, when we're not in a situation for her to do that, then she's helping out the team in other ways. But she's always there. She's had a tough go of it. But, again, another person that's went through our program, stayed with our program, and never gave up.
So tomorrow night, Indiana Tech, what do you know about them?
Honestly, I don't know a whole lot. I got their roster last night. I read their roster. I didn't recognize a whole lot of the names there, and maybe that's my fault. The coach is very good. He's old school. He will definitely have them trained in the basics and the fundamentals. They're not going to be a team that comes in here and we're going to think, hey, that's a first or second year team. I guarantee you he's going to have them ready.
So when you go to other teams, do you normally break down each team, or do you mainly focus on your squad?
We focus on what we do. Now there are some things after, an event that we'll focus on what the other people did to us, but for the most part, heading into it, we won't look at so much film of them unless it's something really, really major. Right now, our GA, Makayla Miracle, is breaking down film of Indiana Tech for us to see if there's anything we need to look at, and she'll have her meetings with the girls, and they'll go over whatever they need, and that'll be pre-match and then also post-match, so that we can learn everything we can off of that.
Now, will you all do that tournament time? Obviously, it's very different. You don't know who they're going to verse, so that's probably a time you specialize on your athletes as well.
Right. I mean, I would say the majority of our focus is always on us. Very rarely do we focus on someone else, and that someone else is going to be elite enough to meet us in the finals and the semifinals, and we know who those people are and who gives us trouble, right? I mean, obviously, you should be looking at film of people who give you, some trouble.
So obviously, you start the season out with 4 Mid-South Conference matches. That'll be beneficial to get your team, right?
I would like to have a little bit more preparation time going down to Life University. I think they're going to be really good this year. Our team is yet to be seen. So I don't know how that's going to go, but I would love to have more match time before I face Life University, because I know that they're going to be tough.
So what are you looking for out of these first 4 Mid-South Conference matchups?
Mindset. I just want to see if they go out there and our team lineup can't be the way it is because of COVID, because of injuries, because of academics, because of whatever it could be, it doesn't matter. Whatever team we put on the mat, I want them to go out and I want them to wrestle like our teams have always wrestled, just hard. And whatever happens, get better from it and move on.
So with these first 4, obviously you mentioned the COVID, but say nothing goes wrong, will you make lineup changes? How late in the season do you make lineup changes, or do you stick to your true lineup?
Constantly. Lineup changes, like for dual meets, totally depends on when, where, what we need. Obviously, if we have 10 really dominant studs in the lineup across the board, I don't need to wrestle all of them in a dual meet, especially if we've had something before, we have something coming up, or somebody needs to rest, or whatever the case may be. I can sit 5 of those and plug in our second stringers, and we'll be just fine most of the time. Now, if our lineup right now is second stringers, then that's a totally different thing. So normally, that's how we've built it around here, that our backups are really, really good.
You go through the first couple of matches, then you break down some film. Do you train differently, or do you key in on different aspects, or do you keep the same mentality going forward?
Well, maybe there's something that's happening and we're trying to tell the athlete, but they don't understand us. And then when we show them on film, sometimes it's something their opponent's doing, and sometimes it's something that they're doing wrong. And either way, we can show them and they can see it, and for some reason, when they see it, they can actually believe it, and then we can apply the change that we need to. But that's the real thing about film. Film is no fun at all.
So is there specific moves maybe you key in if, say, you're not taking ankle picks very lightly? Do you key in a whole practice, or do you maybe, if only one wrestler's doing that, is that something individually outside of practice, or how does that work?
Normally the film goes along with an individual practice that we do. So we'll go in and I kind of like to, if I review film with someone, I want to write down all of the things with them, and then we come out here and then we do a one-on-one with her and her partner and me, and I just explain everything that I talked about during film, and that way they see it both ways. And then Coach Biega does the same kind of thing.
Speaking on her, how important is she to the team?
Coach Biega?
Yeah.
Oh, she's awesome. She's a rock star.
What all does she do for the program?
I put her in a position to where she can do almost everything across the board. So it doesn't matter just assistant coach or whatever, but she can now do almost everything that I can do as well, and she's prepared to be a head coach.
And you mentioned your daughter, the GA, as well. What are some of her responsibilities, even preseason as well?
What we have her working on are mostly virtual things, like she's done talks with them about how to properly diet and how to handle injuries and just mindset things and how to think about different things an elite level athlete would think of. Not only does she give those, kind of, they always do them during Zoom and things like that, but she does those things. But for them, I think it's so valuable because they're listening to someone that is right now at the top of her game.
So I've seen you at the Campbellsville Country Club. How has your golf rounds gone?
It went down a lot. I didn't play a whole lot this year, the COVID stuff, but I got to play a few times, but not as much as I would have liked to.
So when did you start? When did you pick it up?
I actually started playing a lot of golf, kind of, I played it sporadically at different occasions, but never with any intention. I I started when I moved here. You know, I played a little bit out here at the country club, and I liked it enough to keep at it, and I met a lot of good friends. So, you know, I continue to do that to this day.
Well, Coach, thanks for joining us, and good luck tomorrow night.
Thanks. I appreciate it, buddy.
When we come back, we'll visit with Caitlyn Pizzo on Tiger Nation Weekly. You're following Tiger Nation Weekly.
You know, being in athletics, we want to win, but we want to do it in a way that honors God, our family, and the university, and we also want to build character along that path. But most importantly, you know, the kids are here to compete, but they're here to get an education, so we want them to graduate. We want them to finish and complete what they came here to do. And hopefully what we do is give them a chance to play and compete, at the same time achieve their goals spiritually, academically, and socially. So it's a large undertaking when we have about 800 athletes, but we're very committed to making sure that we do what we can do to help them achieve their degree. There's such a great family atmosphere here. You know, it's a college town. This community is built around Campbellsville University, and everybody pours into it. They invest in these kids that come here. And on campus, you'll always see people who are very much friendly. They are available. They want to see kids, like I said, complete what they came here to do. And they do a great job of representing God in the way that we treat others. So I think that, you know, I used to always say when I was recruiting, if you come on the campus will sell itself. It's a great place to be and great people. And I have two grown children who both are alumni of Campbellsville from undergraduate, graduate degrees and all. And I gave my children a chance to go anywhere they wanted to go. I'm an alumni here. My wife is, my mother and father, both my sisters, their whole families. And so I'm extremely biased. But what I do know is that I believe if you choose Campbellsville, you will choose the right spot. This place is all about what they say they are. We want you to find your calling. And what we do is hopefully guide you to that and then equip you to fulfill that. And I just don't think there's any place better. And again, I'm very biased, but again, I don't apologize for trying to sell what we have here, because I'm tremendously invested and I believe in it. I would not be here if I did not think this was absolutely the best school that you could possibly be a part of and attend. And I'm very thankful that I'm a part of it.
Welcome back into Tiger Nation Weekly. I'm your host, Zach Clements. We're now joined by Caitlyn Pizzo. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So you're just coming off a Christmas break. How was your Christmas break?
It was really good. I got some good training in. I trained up at Nick Spatola's up in Northern Kentucky, and then also got to see my family. So pretty much everything I like to do.
How many different Christmases did you have?
Four. Two of them weren't really real. It was just like me with my grandparents, but I had my families, and then my boyfriend Jordan, his families, and then our little Christmas.
What was your favorite gift? Did you receive one?
I got a heated blanket. Now it's my favorite.
Now, did you bring that back with you?
Yes.
Is that going to stay in the bed?
Yeah, every single day.
Now, will that go on road trips if you all travel?
Probably, for hotels. Yeah, probably.
Let's look at wrestling now. How does it feel to be back on campus and able to wrestle?
I'm excited. We didn't really think we were going to get to have a season. Obviously, wrestling's a little close contact for COVID, but we get to, and it's a go, so I'm super stoked.
Now, how long have you been wrestling?
This is my 10th year wrestling.
So you started when you were in about 7th grade?
Yes.
Did you wrestle all girls, or was it a mixture between guys as well?
I wrestled all boys. Obviously, like, girls could wrestle, but there weren't many. I think I wrestled 2 girls, like, throughout middle school, high school, other than driving to my own all-girl tournaments.
So what's the mindset of doing that? Is there a mindset that you're a girl wrestling against all guys, or what are you doing going into one of those tournaments?
At that point, that was just my normal. I didn't know anything better, so obviously for the guys, I definitely had a target on my back from them, because, well, who wants to get beat by a girl? But for me, it was just what I grew up doing. My brothers were the reason I got into wrestling, so it was just normal for me to wrestle guys.
So is wrestling the only sport you competed in, or if so, what others?
No, I ran cross country and track, I swam, and then wrestling.
So what is it about wrestling that fuels you or makes you go?
I think it's the fact that no matter what, I'm not going to be perfect, but every single day I can get in the mat and do everything I can to just be a little bit more perfect that day.
So last year you went 11-0 in duels and 6-1 in the postseason. How'd you make that possible?
Definitely last year, my life was living and breathing wrestling, and so I was in here doing everything I possibly could do to make sure that I was going to end up in the finals at Nationals. That was my goal, and it was a lot of hard work, a lot of late nights in here drilling, in here cutting weight, but it was all worth it.
So not just that, but also being a student athlete, you have to manage school. So how did you manage school and such late nights and probably have to wake up early in the morning and either practice and then go to class? How was that?
Yeah, a lot of our teammates last year thought I was absolutely insane because I also have a job. So I had my 5 a.m. or 5:30 in the morning practice, and then I would go straight to my classes, and then I would have about 2 to 3 hour window in between classes and work, and that's where all my homework got done. And then I went to work, and then I came back to the wrestling room, cut some weight, and then finally went to bed probably at like midnight, and then did it all over again for 9 months straight.
So what is one key way or a couple key ways that you think you found success last season?
I think my success came from definitely my hard work, my inability to just settle for being good enough. I always wanted more, and I still always want more. And expecting more out of my teammates too, because I can only be so good on my own. I need them to be good to make me even better.
So you got 13 wins via the pin last season. Does that fit your style of wrestling?
Yeah, I'm definitely a get it done quick and get out of the way type of wrestler. If I get it done quick, there's less chance for me to mess up and for them to capitalize on that. So getting that fall quick is very important. And on top of that, if we're in a dual match or a dual tournament, me getting that fall opens up some leeway point-wise in case one of the younger girls can't get the fall. So if I can get the fall, I'm going to get it.
So what is your favorite move or a couple moves? Obviously, it's probably hard to choose one. What is your favorite move or a couple moves on the mat?
I'm definitely a sweep single, double leg girl, but a lot of people will argue because you'll see me hit head and arms quite a bit. But that's more of just wrestling females. Like, they just kind of give it to me, and I'm going to take what's there.
Now, is this something, I've seen you obviously pin somebody within 13, 15 seconds. How quickly do you know what's going to work against them?
Within the first, 10, 15 seconds, I can feel what moves are going to work based on their body, the way they're moving, what they're opening up for me, and yeah, it's pretty quick. So
do you like, obviously, scoring points? That's what you do best. But is it more takedowns, or do you look for one takedown and then a finish?
It depends on the girl. I really like my takedowns. Like, those are my diehard. If I can't get a turn on you, well, that's fine. I'm just going to take you down 10 times. But, some girls, I'll get a takedown and it'll be right there for me to get a turn right away. And the best time to get points is right after you get points. So in those cases, I'll just take that turn and go for it. But usually, I'm a takedown type of person, other than my throws that just end up right to the back.
So I hate to even bring this up, but describe how you were feeling at NAI last year.
It was rough. Definitely soul crushing. Being there, being favored to win, and then not even getting to compete was very tough. But I think in the end, I have grown a lot as a person and learned a lot of valuable lessons from that. And so now that just carries over into this year, and I wanted even more this year because of it.
So obviously you think this is going to fuel you. And in what ways do you think it will fuel you?
It's not fair. It's not fair that got ripped away, but there's nothing I can do about it at this point or at the point, a year ago when it happened. But what I can do is continue to just do everything I can in the gym and outside of the gym to make sure that I end up in that same situation again to win a national championship. And then just hope that this year it doesn't get canceled.
So you're a senior this year. What exactly does Campbellsville University mean to you?
This is where I found my family. These girls are my family. They'll be in my life years to come, and I will be in theirs. There's a good chance that a lot of these girls will be in my wedding down the road or know my kids, and that's just the relationship that this team has. Even girls from 4, 5, 6 years ago who already graduated, they still talk to each other all the time, and that's very normal for this team. We've gone through really bad lows together and really good highs together, so we're stuck together at this point.
So through your 4 years here, how have you seen yourself improve on the mat?
Definitely. My freshman year, I was not good. I was an intense wrestler, but I did not know how to wrestle freestyle at all, coming from folk style as in high school. And now I like to think I know a little bit about freestyle, but there's still a lot more to learn.
So obviously on the mat, but what about off the mat? How has the 4 years here maybe helped you to become a better person?
I've definitely grown as a leader. Miracle and Paulina have worked a lot with me on that and making sure that I can, eventually one day, if I decide, lead my own team to national championships. And yeah, that's a really big thing. And it's been important in all the aspects of my life, even at work where I'm just a server, being able to step up and help out has been huge.
So this year, you're a senior. What are you looking to do?
I'm going to keep wrestling for a bit. If I decide to do something with my degree, I'll end up going back and getting my master's, and the goal would be to work with kids with autism. But as for now, wrestling's not over yet, so that's just what I'm doing for a little bit, probably about 4 or 5 years.
So this year, you're a senior. In what ways are you going to find success on the mat?
And continuing to do what I did last year, making sure I'm very disciplined in all aspects of my life, from weight management to my drill sets. I think discipline is the only way to get back to where I was or even surpass that.
So your first match is against Indiana Tech. What do you know about them?
I know they're like a second-year program. That's about it. I don't really look into it much. All I can control is what I do in my preparation. I can't control what they do, what they bring, what they throw at me. So there's no point worrying about them. Might as well just sit here and worry about myself and get myself right and then go to war.
Talk a little bit about your preparation going into tomorrow night and maybe your mindset as well.
It's just, at this point, it's mostly making sure I have my weight good, which, at this point, as a senior, I should be pretty good with that. So, that's not too big of an issue, but it's fine tweaking all the little things, making sure that my muscles are good to go, getting a nice bath in, those type of things. And at that point, it's just going to war. Like, I've been doing this for 10 years. There's nothing scary now about stepping on the mat. I'm just stepping on the mat. This is my home at this point.
So you mentioned not really worrying about the other team, you worry about yourself. Does that go with tournaments too? Like, obviously you may not know who you're going to match up with, so do you study other wrestlers or look at their game or just worry about yourself?
Just worry about myself. Yeah, you won't really see me looking at rankings. You won't see me looking to see where I'm seated in a tournament. I just know when I get on the mat, it's go time, and I'm going to wrestle every match the same as if it's like the national championship. And that's how I'm going to get most of my wins, is not being worried about them and just worrying about myself.
So what are some of the things that you have been working on in practice that you think are going to help you this season?
We've been doing a lot more parterre, especially today, and doing live goes in parterre so we can make sure that, we know what's coming, and if these girls are going to try and do, turns and stuff, everyone gets taken down every once in a while, and that's normal. But once you get taken down, you better not get turned. So that's what we've been working on this week.
So what's it like having Lee Miracle as your head coach?
It's like having a second dad all the way in Kentucky. Sometimes he will say things and I will just think to myself, like, oh my God, how did I do this to myself? I'm literally with my father still. I did not get away. But he definitely cares about us more than any coach I could imagine. And I know that if I needed anything, he would be right there, without a doubt. He's a second dad for sure.
And then also the assistant coach, Paulina, she's probably got to feel like a second mom or right there with you as well.
Yeah, Paulina is huge for this team. Having a female coach on a women's program is really important. And she brings more of the emotional side. She knows what we're going through as females cutting weight and such. And she knows the answers. She's been there. She's done that. And she understands. So it's huge to have her advice rather than, just a man telling you, oh, lose 5 pounds. Sometimes you need a little more than that, especially when you're this far away from your family.
And lastly, you have Caitlyn Miracle. Obviously, she was a 4-time national champion here. Now she's the GA. How does she benefit you all?
that's huge for us. I mean, especially younger girls who never even met Kayla. Like, I was here my freshman year when she was a senior, and the wealth of knowledge that she has is insane, and she is never held back from sharing it. And I think we're really lucky to have that.
So what's the mindset going into that, being your first match? And it's also senior night, so that's got to be pretty special.
I'm super proud to have this group of girls that I'm going to be graduating with and that I've gone through 4 years with. We've got Courtney West, who is huge. She's not wrestling right now, but the amount of support that we get from her every day at practice, you know, at matches, at tournaments is huge, and it's something that we need. At some point, you need someone who's, you know, maybe not wrestling, but you can go to them and just either complain for a minute and just vent, or get the support you need and get the motivation to keep going. And then Lexi Foca is wild. Watching her wrestle scares me more than anything, but somehow she knows what she's doing and it just works out, and it's insane, and she's awesome. And you know what, she's in here kicking butt every day, and again, super proud of her. And then we got Michaela Campbell, and she's just a stud. She's one of those girls that she's at 109, but that doesn't mean she's at 109. She could literally be anywhere, and she's going to do what we need to do, and she's going to get those team points like our team needs for our dual tournaments and stuff. So it's awesome having someone like that who can move around to, you know, 101, 109, 116, 123, and just get it done.
That was my next question, and I've always wondered this. Are you always stuck on a weight, or can you wrestle up, wrestle down? How long does that take? Or say if you have to wrestle down a class, how long does it take you to prepare for that?
So it definitely depends. For wrestling down, we have to look at our OPC and how much weight we can lose per week, and yada, 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 all those numbers. So we would definitely need to know like at least a week in advance, depending on your body fat. But wrestling up, you couldn't walk out there thinking you're wrestling one weight and 2 seconds later be wrestling up. And that's totally normal on whatever will benefit the team better. And a lot of these girls are really good with just rolling with those punches and accepting the fact that, you know what, now it's my turn to step up and it's go time and go to war.
So obviously you may plan to wrestle, say 109, and then you may come out in the lower weight class. Does that change your mentality, or do you just, you're gonna go out there and see what the girl offers and then you'll take it?
I don't think it changes the mentality at all. Obviously a little bit more work goes into cutting that week or whatever, but at the same point, a lot of these girls have been wrestling for a while. Once they step on the mat, it's go time, and they understand that at that point, everything else has gone away and that's on the side, and this is what's most important, and I'm going to win this match.
So we're still in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic. Obviously, hopefully you all get to have your parents tomorrow night, and then, but talk a little bit about not having the fans. Obviously, you might have some friends that want to come watch you, and that's got to be really weird.
I actually like it. It's like going back to, you know, middle school wrestling when there's like 2 parents in the stands. You just go back to basic wrestling. Like, there is no pressure from a fan. That doesn't matter anymore. You're just wrestling. It's you, your opponent on a mat, and you're going at it. So I think it's kind of nice. I mean, I feel like a lot of people get really starstruck, especially on big stages like nationals, and there's no reason to.
So tell me a little bit about last semester and maybe some of the protocols coming into this year.
Quite a bit of our girls got COVID last semester. I was one of them. And it's really frustrating, like when you do everything right to make sure you don't get it, and you still do. But at that point, you got it, and the next thing you can do is get over it. So that came the protocol where you can wrestle 15 minutes, you know, then 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and all the way up until you can finally wrestle for an hour. But I think the biggest, most important part of that is making sure you're pushing yourself and pushing past your limits. Everyone knows the difference between, you know, I might die or I might pass out, and, you know, this really sucks. I'm tired. So pushing past those limits and making sure you continue to expand your lungs again and get better.
How has classes been? Obviously, you went through a lot last semester. You transitioned into online after Thanksgiving. Tell me a little bit about that.
Classes, it's been a little weird, you know, wearing a mask in the class. No one likes to do it, but it's one of those things we have to do to make sure that we're safe, our teachers are safe, our classmates are safe, and we get to wrestle. But social interactions, I'm kind of a loser anyways. Like I said, my life revolves around wrestling, so that wasn't very different for me. As long as I could get in the wrestling gym and do what I needed to do and get to the weights and all that stuff, you know, that was pretty okay with me, other than wearing a mask when I'm lifting weight and like sucking in sweat.
So walk me through a day of your life. It's a normal day. You have classes, your normal class schedule, and then you also have a match at 7 p.m. So from when you wake up to the match, walk me through like what you do every day. Do you work out in between the middle of the day, or tell me a little bit about that?
So if I have a match in the middle of the day, we're probably gonna have a practice in the morning. Then I'm gonna shower up, get to my classes, probably get a little bit of homework done. Obviously I'm eating in between here. Get a little bit of homework done, and then I'll get another workout in, make sure that I'm good to eat something. I'll eat something, and then I will get ready to weigh in and get to wrestling.
What about after? Is there a lot of recovery that goes on?
After, shower right away, because you don't know if they're dirty. And then for the most part, I'm just gonna stretch and, you know, get a good meal and then go to bed.
What does Lady Tiger Wrestling mean to you?
This team is my family. They've been there for me through some really bad lows and some really good highs, and I know that no matter what, they've got my back and I've got their back, and yeah, we're definitely a family on this team.
How has Lady Tiger Wrestling, the program, changed you as a person?
It's definitely made me a better leader. Once again, like, coaches have worked with me a lot on that to make sure that I can get there and not just be a leader that does something and, you know, excels and then people want to follow, but also someone that can step up and help younger girls and be the person for them to come talk to and ask for advice from.
So you've already told us you want to wrestle a little bit after school. Will that keep you here, or will that travel, or how does that work?
I'm not too sure yet, but I'm thinking that I'll end up going back towards northern Kentucky, and then also just traveling around to certain schools. I'll definitely come back here every once in a while to wrestle, but also going to camps, going to the OTC, to Arizona, all those places to get some good weeks in of drilling.
Is there one place in the world that you want to wrestle, and if so, why?
Ooh. Well, I want to wrestle at the Olympics, but I think everyone does. That's kind of a big goal, and I think, you know, most normal people don't understand the work that goes into that. But I think I would just like to wrestle, you know, overseas again. That was a lot of fun when I did it in high school, and it's a really great experience to have something you love like wrestling take you and let you travel like that.
So one last thing, do you have any final words for any wrestling fans out there or viewers that may be watching?
We appreciate you. Without you guys' support, there's not much that we could do, and your support drives us to want to be better and better each year.
Well, thank you and good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you.
That was Caitlyn Pizzo, and when we come back, that will be next week. That will be men's wrestling. Will be right here in the wrestling facility. You've been following Tiger Nation Weekly.
Here comes Campbellsville King. Back to Evans! What a two-handed blow!
Makes 2 minutes and she finishes. Four from third, he's going to sliding safe.